Well, Lizzie, this is a disturbing story emerging out of Baton Rouge. On Friday night, a 29-year-old pregnant woman was murdered. And as it turns out, police now believe that she is the former girlfriend of La'el Collins.
A 6'4", 320-pound tackle from Louisiana State University, who was one of the top offensive linemen in all of Division I football. Voted a first-team All-SEC player, a second-team All-American in 2014, and one of the best protectors in college football. However, La'el Collins was not drafted into the NFL, despite being pegged a consensus first-round selection at the very least. Why did all the teams in the NFL pass on this mammoth of a lineman who served as a brick wall shutting down the defense? Not just on day one of the NFL draft, but during all 3 days of the 2015 NFL draft. La'el Collins would be turned down team after team, as during that draft, he would be investigated for murder. So how did La'el Collins end up clearing his name from such a malicious act, and how is he now in his 6th year in the NFL and a multi-million-dollar member of America's team? What's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here, and welcome back to another murder mystery. Really quickly before we get to the content, I wanted to tell you guys that most of my murder mysteries get demonetized, and as a result of that, YouTube won't really show you my content if my videos do get demonetized. So if you could take a moment to sack that like button for the YouTube algorithm, so we could kind of fight back against the fact that YouTube won't show my videos and I can continue making these murder mysteries. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. La'el Collins was born with an umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. When the franticness of the delivery was over and his mother held him in her arms, she said, "Boy, you belong to God." His mother then consulted her Bible and found a name that translated to belonging to God. La'el. He was the middle child of 5 children, and they all went to church regularly and participated in activities to keep them all off of the streets, such as baseball and La'el's personal favorite, football. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where the local collegiate football team is a powerhouse member of the SEC, the gridiron is admired by about every young boy growing up. The support of the hometown purple and gold would flow from the rough areas of East Baton Rouge Parish to the North Baton Rouge neighborhood where La'el grew up in. Loida raised him and his 4 siblings alone, oftentimes while working multiple jobs as their father was serving time in the maximum security Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola known as the Dungeon. La'el Collins was always on the offensive line while on a private Catholic school's football team at Redemptorist High School. It was there where he would excel and would be given all-state honors his sophomore, junior, and senior years. Collins would block the rushing defenders and open up a hole for future NFL running back Jeremy Hill, and together the duo would march their high school to the state quarterfinals. La'el Collins was one of the best offensive linemen in high school football, participating in the Under Armour All-American game and listed as an All-American in Parade Magazine and USA Today. A 5-star recruit, he was listed as the 2nd or 3rd best offensive tackle in the nation coming out of the 2011 high school recruiting class. Collins was a hometown guy, and as a result would commit to LSU early, as in the fall of 2009, he promised LSU's head coach at the time, Les Miles, that he would join the LSU Tigers. The LSU roster is pretty deep, and although Collins was not a starter, he would play in 7 games for 26 snaps his freshman year. He would be named a freshman All-American thanks to his 5 knockdown blocks during that time he spent on Miles' offensive line. In his sophomore season, La'el started all 13 games at left guard and led the Tigers in snaps and had 64.5 knockdowns. When faced against the nation's #1 defense that season, the University of Alabama, Collins was able to stop the defenders so effectively that the LSU offense would post 22 first downs. In his junior season, Collins played left tackle and won SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week honors in LSU's college football kickoff game in Week 1. Collins was pivotal in LSU's offense that posted a school record of 466 rushing yards during the 2013 season. Although he would have been a lock for any NFL team after his junior season, Collins stayed at LSU for his senior campaign, leading the team with 843 offensive snaps and 88 knockdowns. The Tigers' rushing average per game was 224.5 yards, the most of any collegiate team since 1997. That senior season earned Collins many postseason awards, including First Team All-SEC and the Jacobs Blocking Trophy. Collins was an imposing lineman ready for the NFL. Heading into the 2015 draft, La'el Collins was Sports Illustrated's second best available offensive lineman on their draft board and was by their draft experts described as a prototypical mauler who shoots out of his stance quickly at the snap and clearly relishes the opportunity to bury defenders in short areas. A strong player with a wide base and active hands, which he uses to win leverage battles. Legitimate prospect at guard and tackle. To give you an idea of how great La'el Collins was, his pro comparison was the great Orlando Franklin, a player who may start at right tackle but could be moved inside to a left guard. However, La'el Collins' entire world would be shaken just a mere 6 days before the NFL draft, which is by far the worst time for new information to come out against you because this is the time where teams already have their big boards set and they've done their research on various players. So on April 24, 2015, 6 days before the 2015 NFL Draft, a woman by the name of Brittany Mills is 8 months pregnant and carrying a baby who she thought the father may be La'el Collins, a man that she had a brief relationship with. At 10:30 p.m. that night, Mills opened her East Baton Rouge parish door and is gunned down on the front stoop of her apartment via several bullets entering her upper body, leaving her crumpled on the ground and the front door still ajar. Her baby is delivered at an area hospital, a boy that is unstable but breathing. The local police department began a murder investigation and during the process speaks to Mills' very young daughter, who mentions La'el Collins' name. On Monday, April 27th, it is officially draft week and the big event is just 3 days away. La'el Collins is about to board a flight to Chicago. Collins' agent is informed of the situation via La'el, who said he was contacted by the police. Collins explains that he exchanged text messages with Brittany Mills in March about taking a paternity test after the baby was born, but that was the last time he had contact with her. He pleads his innocence and states that he has GPS records on his phone to prove it. The next morning, 2 days before the NFL draft, Collins' agent sends text messages to various NFL front office members that read, "Hey, there's a story that may or may not have come out. It's an unfortunate incident, and La'el had nothing to do with it, but a young woman lost her life and he knew her." Also that morning via social media and in Baton Rouge media, Collins' name is mentioned a lot in connection with the investigation, and it is confirmed by Baton Rouge PD that Collins would be questioned. Then the negative headlines began to plaster ESPN's bottom line and other national news sources all saying the same thing in one form or another, stating that police want to speak with the first-round NFL prospect about the murder of a pregnant woman. It is now 24 hours before the 2015 NFL Draft. It looked like La'el Collins would receive the biggest payday of his life and finally be able to take care of his mother financially. However, his world was quickly crumbling and teams would treat La'el Collins as a liability that nobody wanted to touch. La'el Collins sat in a conference room overlooking the Chicago River, not far from where he thought he would get to hug the NFL commissioner. Instead of anticipation and feelings of excitement, tears fell like a waterfall from his face when he was faced with his reality. His agents began telling him that he had to go home and would not participate in any of the pre-draft or draft day festivities. The 2-hour conversation had La'el sobbing and repeating over and over his innocence, with him pleading with the men to let him stay. Collins' agents told Sports Illustrated in an article a month after the draft that we made the decision that we needed to pull him out of the draft festivities and put him on a plane back to Baton Rouge to meet with our lawyer and our private investigator to accelerate a meeting with the police. Several of his relatives and close friends would come to his room and soon realize why Collins was so upset. as he packed his bags to leave a Chicago luxury hotel destined for a police questioning room. The story La'el Collins has to tell his family is that he would not be walking across the gold carpet in his best suit, but he had to fly back to Baton Rouge to be questioned in regards to a murder investigation. They were especially interested because Mills' young daughter, who was unharmed in the incident, had mentioned La'el Collins' name during her interview with investigators. "This is on me," La'el said via an unnamed person who was in the hotel room. "I own this. I had nothing to do with this, but it's affecting y'all." Although La'el wasn't considered a suspect, the questioning and doubts from all the NFL front offices made the number 2 best available offensive lineman in the upcoming draft now undraftable, as his name was connected to a murder. Collins' friends, family, and agents believe that La'el was telling the truth, that he did not commit or know about the crime. His agency worked to clear his name, calling all 32 general managers. One of his agents recalled that when you looked into the kid's eyes and you heard the story, talked to the lawyer, talked to our private investigator, we all believed he was innocent, and we felt that we needed to put our reputations on the line for him. It is now April 30th, draft day, and La'el Collins is strapped to a lie detector test in Baton Rouge. Collins' attorney, Jim Boren, gives the statement to ESPN that day saying, "We have identified where La'el was the day the lady was murdered to establish that he was nowhere around. We have offered to give names, witnesses who can vouch for his whereabouts that day until after the woman's body was discovered. We believe that when police have verified that information, that they will rule him out as a suspect in the homicide." Collins had not officially been in a police station yet for questioning and would not report to a station until Monday. At this point, Collins' name is basically off the board, especially the first round, and his agency is losing hope that any team will select him. 3 hours before the selection show is slated to go live and teams would be placing their picks, Collins' agents make a last-ditch effort to get a conference call connecting NFL team reps with Collins' attorney that is located in Louisiana. 20 teams are listening and ask many questions. The 2015 draft kicks off and 32 players are selected on that Thursday night, but La'el Collins does not receive a phone call. On Friday, May 1st, it is now the second day of the NFL draft, and back in a Baton Rouge hotel, Mills' infant son passes away, and it is now officially a double homicide investigation. La'el Collins is unsure if the baby was his. A paternity test would take place on Monday, after an NFL team shows interest calling his agency and stating that they might draft La'el in the 5th round. Collins' agents send a memo to NFL teams to draft Collins in the 2nd or 3rd round, or not to draft him at all, as he would not sign a contract as a late round pick. After 7 rounds in the NFL draft, La'el Collins does not have an NFL home and officially becomes an undrafted free agent. It is now Monday, May 4th, and this is the day that Collins is interviewed by detectives and would take a paternity test. Collins provides his cell phone that will ping his whereabouts during the murder. The headline that night on the Shreveport Times website reads, "La'el Collins not a suspect, but not cleared." The next day, almost half of the NFL are not interested in signing Collins, and the rest, according to Collins' agent, would need to get a guaranteed contract with no offsets, 2nd and 3rd year maximum salaries for an undrafted free agent. If he were ever charged or indicted in the murder investigation, the guarantees would disappear and the contract would be torn up. On Wednesday, May 6th, the paternity test comes back and determines La'el Collins is not the father of Mills' baby boy. The case is still open with no suspects identified, but Baton Rouge police do not consider Collins a suspect or a person of interest in the case. Collins is now en route to Dallas, Texas, and his luck is about to change with a team that is notorious for giving second chances. It is now less than 1 week after the 2015 NFL draft, and La'el Collins is sitting on a plush and very expensive couch. His mother and agent are by his side, and they are attending a dinner party in a multi-million-dollar mansion that belongs to Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. Tony Romo, the Cowboys quarterback, along with several other Cowboys players, specifically members of the O-line unit, are assuring La'el's mother that Mr. Jones will support La'el with whatever he has to go through. The group is lobbying hard for him to join the Dallas Cowboys, and there's increasing hope for the Cowboys that Collins will soon put on the helmet with the star on the sides. Jerry Jones and La'el have conversations for hours, and Collins is told that he'll have a chance to start immediately if he can beat out left guard Ronald Leary. On Thursday, May 7th, 1 week after the first day of the NFL draft, La'el Collins signs a 3-year, fully guaranteed deal with the Dallas Cowboys worth $1.7 million. However, if his name was not connected to a murder case the week before, he could have potentially signed for $15 to $17 million as a first-round draft pick. At his introductory press conference, Collins says,
this opportunity here, sitting here in front of this organization, everything that it stands for, everything that these guys are trying to build here, I feel like I represent, I feel like I fit in.
La'el Collins in his rookie year supplemented his small salary, by NFL means, by participating in autograph signings, appearances, youth camps, and he was game for just about anything. Because he signed for much less than he deserved, Collins was on an agent-controlled budget, paying back a disability insurance policy before his senior season and is paying back the $64,000. Collins started his rookie season as a reserve, but saw more time when Ronald Leary went down in Game 2 of that 2015 season, and La'el immediately started knocking down linebackers and became a starter at left guard halfway through the season. The Cowboys' rushing average increased thanks to his presence on the line, and there would be years left for him to excel. In 2016, there was a setback when he tore a ligament in his big toe and was placed on the IR in October. For the 2017 season, after Doug Free retired, Collins was named a starter at the right tackle position, and just before training camp would sign a 2-year, $15.4 million contract extension. The stable starter, who analysts have graded as a top 5 player at his position, has not made a Pro Bowl yet, but he's played 61 games over 3 seasons at right tackle for the Dallas Cowboys and would officially get the money he deserves in 2019 by signing a 5-year, $90 million contract extension. At Christmas, he surprised his mother with a new home in a nice neighborhood in Baton Rouge, a goal that he thought he would be able to meet years prior. La'el told BRProud.com that this is a special moment, just extremely blessed to be in a position to be able to do this for my family. This past season, Collins was placed on the Cowboys' injured reserve list for various ailments such as hip problems and shoulder issues that included minor injuries which would sustain him during an August car accident, a wreck where he would have to be cut from his vehicle. With Collins off the field the entire 2020 season and fellow lineman Tyron Smith out with injury for 14 games, the Dallas Cowboys offensive line struggled and had a tough time protecting Dak Prescott, who would go down with an extremely brutal injury. If Collins can stay healthy for 2021 and beyond, perhaps the Dallas Cowboys will have a real chance of breaking into the playoffs again. Brittany Mills and her infant boy's homicide case is still unsolved. It was one of 75 murders in the East Baton Rouge Parish neighborhood in 2015. It took the district attorney more than 2 years via the manufacturer to gain access to her password-protected phone. Although the DA didn't say what was in the phone, he told local media a year ago, "I believe that we need some further information to go forward. I know that somebody has information. I suspect more than one person has information."